All right, Joey Logano joins us. He is our Coors Light Pole Award winner for Sunday's 66th annual STP 500 with a lap of 19.232 seconds, 98.461 miles per hour. That's Joey's 10th career pole, his first pole at Martinsville Speedway, although he did set the track record here last spring, but that was in an earlier qualifying round. So, Joey, congratulations. Just talk about your effort and how you're going to go out there and get that win on Sunday.
Yeah, it just feels great to finally hit the pole here. We've been close so many times, and throughout my career, I feel like we've always qualified well here, but I was never able to get a pole. And believe me, I caught plenty much of a hard time about getting a track record here and not getting the pole. So to have a pole to back that up feels great. And you win anything at Martinsville is a big deal. This is such a tough racetrack, and it means a lot to say you've won something here, even if it's a pole. So it's a good start for us. To get out there, obviously starting towards the front here is a huge advantage, probably bigger than most racetracks. It allows you the first run to just be able to, pace yourself a little bit, make sure you have some race car at the end of this thing. Obviously, the first pit stall is an advantage like it is every week, but we've seen a lot of people crash on pit road here, so it's a little safer down there at the end also. So, nothing but good things happen from starting first, so I'm excited about it. And I was laughing. I talked with Todd when it was raining today, and he's like, he said he wouldn't be, bummed out if, practice and qualifying got rained out, we'd start second. And I said, I don't want that. I said, if there's a shot at it, I want to get the pole. I said, second's not good enough. And so I got to say I told you so to him, and that doesn't happen very often when he's way smarter than me. So it works out pretty. I'm taking every opportunity I can to say that. But no, so we got a good starting spot and excited about the race.
Very good, Joey. We'll take some questions now for Joey Logano. We're going to start over here to the far right. My man from Arkansas right here has a question. Gavin, let's get Gavin a mic there. Hold it, Gavin.
Oh, no. I'm nervous now.
What makes you such a good qualifier? I mean, last year you made it to the final round in almost every race, and this year you've done almost every race also.
Well, obviously a fast race car is a lot of it. And I think, in the past qualifying, the first rounds were always good for me. And when all we had was one round before was a kind of an advantage. I feel like I was just able to, get the most out of the car really quick, and I really focused, because that was a weak point of mine earlier in my career, was qualifying, and I focused really hard on trying to make myself better at it. And I was laughing today, because usually when we get 2 or 3 laps, would be as much as we'd ever run. And that last run, I ran 4, 5, 6 laps. I ran 6 laps. And after the 5th one, I was breathing so hard. I was like, I need to come in or I'm going to pass out here. So it's amazing, that intensity level. And I think that's some of it. You got to have that intensity level and pushing the car to that ragged edge that, in the race, you think you're around 100%, but there's always that little bit left in the tank. And when you come to qualifying, you got to be able to push it that little bit more. And, when you're running here in Martinsville, you got to be able to push it into the corner as hard as you can, and on the exits as hard as you can. And if you slip a little bit, the penalty's huge. When you get loose, it's you lose a tenth pretty easy. And we saw earlier, 1/10 is more than 10 spots in qualifying. So you got to be right on the edge of this thing to have a fast lap, but a mistake is costly. So I just think that intensity level just has to be so high.
Thank you.
You're welcome, Gavin.
Let's go up here now to Reed Spencer, second row. Raise your hand, Reed, and we'll go to Mike Embry.
Reed Spencer with NASCAR Wire Service. Joey, this seemed to be a little bit of an unusual session in that you had a different car on top in every session. The fastest cars didn't necessarily identify themselves until the third session. You went out late in the second session, early in the third. What do you think accounted for the difference and gave you the edge to get on the pole?
I'm pretty sure we ran less laps than anybody going into the third round. So that was the advantage that we had going for us, that we were able to see how many cars have ran, and know what we have to run to get into the next round. So like the second round, all we had to make is 2 laps. And we felt pretty confident about where we were. So keeping those laps off the tires was good, because a lot of guys you see throughout our session, they were up at 9 laps. I think Brad started the last run with 14 laps on his tires. That's a lot. And there's obviously gonna be some fall off when you're talking about 14 laps, and you're talking about ins and outs, and all that adds more to it too. So. I think our advantage was we had less laps than everybody. We had a fast race car, and it all kind of worked out. But it kind of seemed like what our advantage was today.
Let's go right here, front row. Mike Embry, and then Bob Pockris.
Mike Embry, USA Today. You guys run some long races, but here Sunday you're looking at 1,000 left turns. When you ran here the first time, did that kind of get your attention? That how much you had to focus for so long? Just making that lap over and over again?
Yeah, you got to get in a rhythm, because in Martinsville, you don't ever, there's straightaways, but you don't really ever get to relax on it straightaway, because the corner comes so quick, and late in the run, by the time you get wide open, you're lifting. If you get wide open sometimes on long runs, and you're around a car all the time, it's kind of like Bristol. You're always around other cars, and it's a long race, no doubt. Time-wise, I guess it's probably pretty similar to other ones, but 500 laps around this place, and you think about how hard you got to break into the corners every lap, and how how smooth you got to be back to the throttle, and buzzing the rear tires once, how big that penalty is, and making sure that you're right on your mark every time, because you lose focus, you can kill a whole run pretty quick. By just running a couple laps too hard, or trying to race someone too hard, or obviously trying to keep your head cool for that long race in other cars. There's always someone mad at somebody at the end of this one, and there's just a lot that's thrown at you when you come to such a small, tight, slow racetrack. That there's going to be a lot going on. Obviously we look at restarts here, and how how tricky and sometimes frustrating can be if you're on the outside and trying to get a hole to get down, and just thinking through all that stuff throughout the whole race. You're physically shot because you're driving these things so hard, but you're mentally wore out also, because you got so many things on your mind throughout this race, with no straightaway to kind of think about things and relax and process what you're taking in.
Let's go over here far right, Bob Pockris, and then we'll come back here to Hank Kurtz. Go ahead, Bob.
Bob Pockris, ESPN. Is there any part of Sunday that's a 500-lap test for October, and kind of looking ahead to Texas? Do you view that race at all as a test for the chase?
I don't think we approach these races any different than we normally do. I would never call a race a test. It's a race because it's a race. If there's a trophy and one of those things sitting at the end, I want that thing really bad. I don't care if it's in the spring or the fall. I want it whenever I can. I would take it both times. But I think typically what we always do is we try things throughout practice. And we feel like we put in whatever's the best we feel is that we come up with in practice, and we race it. If it doesn't work, we know what not to do. So I wouldn't call that a test, but that's just kind of a typical weekend, is say, okay, on Monday morning, what did we do good? What did we do bad? What will we do again? What won't we do again? And try to just decipher what's the best package when we come back to try to make ourselves better, because it seems like it's the same thing everyone else does. I think you got to keep getting better. You can't ever stay still for a minute as they catch you and pass you in a second. And obviously here Martinsville's been an okay track for me for the last couple of years, but I don't feel like we are quite to the level of, you look at Jimmy and Jeff and Kurt here last spring, and I'm sure Kevin's gonna be fast again. The 11, those guys are consistently fast at this racetrack, and we've made progress. We're getting closer. I feel like Todd and I have really looked into what that next step is and what that feel is that I need to look for. Now it's a matter of finding it and getting it. So I feel like we're making progress. Obviously in qualifying, we have a fast car. We just got to make sure it lasts for 500 laps.
Let's go to Hank Kurtz right here on the front row.
Joey, if 6 laps of qualifying leave you exhausted, what's the toll of 500 laps of racing?
Well, I breathe in the race, but it's funny because it just depends on the racetrack. And California makes you breathe really hard when you run there out there at Auto Club Speedway. You're It's just like I said, that intensity level has got to be so high. And typically, I mean, one lap and you're done, and okay. And I'm usually breathing hard after that, but you're going for that long, and it just seems like you find like where your max is that you can just do as a driver, and this is all I can do. This is 100% of your focus goes into making lap and making lap speed and doing what you can do out there, and I guess you forget to breathe. I don't know, but for some reason I think my heart rate's higher in qualifying than it is in any race situation, and I just think it's because you gotta hit it just right, because it's so close. A couple hundreds we're not on the pole. It's so small that you got to be able to get it all out of it.
Let's go to Jeff Gluck here, and then we'll take, I think, two more. We've got Jay, and then we'll end with Chris.
Jeff Gluck from USA Today. This race never seems to disappoint, both in terms of the racing and then some fireworks after the race. Why is that? Why do people get so mad at each other?
Well, I think a lot of times here, you just think you got to slow down these cars. They're so fast and heavy, and you're on the brakes all you can. You're right on the edge of what the tire will give you. There's a lot of mistakes that happen, and I think the mistakes, even though it's a mistake, it still makes you mad. If you're on the bad end of the deal, and then also it's hard to pass. So then when you're trying to pass someone for 20 laps or 30 laps, eventually you get frustrated, and then that guy gives you the bumper, and or vice versa, and then that person's mad because you just got moved out of the way, and it escalates from there. Just so many different things that make people mad when they come to short tracks, and it's just because there's nowhere to. It's just a hard place to pass because it's one lane. But it is possible to pass. Obviously, we've seen great racing here, but there's a lot of comers and goers throughout a run, which I think creates a lot of passing here. So it's been a great racetrack, but it just makes people mad for that reason.
Let's go back in the back there to Jay, and then we'll finish with Chris over to the left.
Jay Pennell, Fox Sports. It seemed like throughout the day, all through practice and qualifying, the Chevrolets were really the fastest cars. Yet you're going to start on top and forward. Is there anything to that, or is it just kind of the lap you ran?
We had a fast race car and obviously a good motor, and it all kind of worked out well. And I think we've seen all year that the Chevys have been fast, but you can look and see why. They have great race car drivers. They have great race teams. They have a lot of cars out there. For us Fords, there's only a few of us out there. We don't have a huge fleet. So obviously the chances of us winning is not as great because there's not as many out there, but we do a great job to make sure we get the blue oval out there and trying to win every time we can. And Team Penske's done a great job working with them and working with Ford and with the Roush Yates motors. This has been a racetrack for Ford that's been challenging for them. So I feel like over the last few years we've identified where we're weak, and then you can start working on it. And that's the big things, is just understanding where you're not good before you start trying to fix it.
Final question off to the left, Chris.
Chris9Catchments.com. Joey, you're making your NASCAR Camping World Truck Series debut tomorrow at Martinsville. How was your truck, and did practice today help you guys with your truck program at BKR?
It's this first time I've run a truck here, and they drive a lot different than what the Cup car does, and it took a minute to get used to, as they got the old ride height rule, so the car travels a lot more when you hit the brakes, and with the Cup cars, you used to them just, it's down, and when you hit the brakes, it's already there, so it takes a minute to get back into, the old mode of Cup racing, so I think that was interesting. The less horsepower in those was interesting on what makes the car go fast. A little bit different things than what makes a Sprint Cup car go fast, just as far as what I look for as a driver, to feel I look for. So different feels faster. So I thought that was interesting, and kind of interested to see how that plays out tomorrow. Hopefully I'm going the right direction with it. As a driver, you kind of lead the team on saying, okay, this is what I need for the race to go fast. And, hopefully, never racing a truck here. I'm just kind of taking an educated guess on this, on what I need in a Cup car typically. So it showed a lot of speed in practice. It showed like the car was very fast for sure. There's definitely some other cars that have some good speed too. I like the 00. I think it was the 4 car. And then it seemed like it also, I mean, the race is going to be interesting because there's a lot of cars that are off the pace. And I think that'll be interesting to see how that plays out because, you know, a lot of times if you run, you know, a truck race, every time I've run one, it's on a bigger racetrack so you can move around and keep the momentum going. But here, you know, you're going to get stacked up behind someone. There'll be some passes made because of slower lap traffic. So just got to be aggressive, you know, and make sure you make the right decisions and don't get put in a bad spot with the traffic.
Joey, thank you very much, and good luck this weekend.
Thank you, guys.